Welcome to GastroPodcast, the official podcast of the unofficial ambassadors of the city of Eugene, the Slug Queens. This is your chance to take a peek under the crown and get to know the real people behind the sequins and to learn about the community issues that we're engaged in and involved with. I'm Leanne Joshua, aka Queen Glow, and I'll be your host for these conversations about how we can work and play together better and make our city a more just, supportive, and fun place for everybody. I am thrilled to have as our first conversation Kassy Daggett, aka Queen Inspira, and we're going to talk about resilience. Welcome, Kassy.
Thanks, Leanne. It's great to be here with you. I just realized I could have put Queen Inspire on my name as well. So
That's okay. We all know who you are, even without your fancy glasses on. Resilience, that's a topic that you suggested. What were you thinking about when you suggested it?
well, I was thinking about my extreme need for resilience in the midst of what's going on in the world right now. So it's
That's what I thought you might be thinking about.
yeah, exactly. It's and just it was I was getting ready to do a Zoom with um the group that I lead for people who are diagnosed with multiple myeloma, which is a plasma cell blood cancer, and so that's my Zoom community on a monthly basis. And when I send out the invites for that, I always put some kind of comment along with the email that goes out. And so then the one that came to me for this last meeting last week is resilience, and that's I think what all of us are. We're really practiced at it. At least those of us who have been dealing with this, incurable disease, currently incurable. It's started to change. But the thing that's been, really clear is that the people in this group are incredibly resilient, and we're all of us are dealing with this, nasty thing that we found out about suddenly and had a radical change on our lives, and yet. Um, it's a group that's really committed to doing whatever it takes to stay here as long as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Uh, and that requires, really ramping up the resilience.
Yeah,
And
and I'm so sorry that you are personally having to deal with this. It is so hard when people have a physical issue that they're dealing with on top of maybe, environmental issues and political issues and economic issues and other personal issues, whether you just had to take your dog to the vet, which is something that really gets me into resilience mode because I'm not really good at coping with that. Uh, and I really appreciate the fact that you have taken the lead in creating a group rather than just joining a group. I think for me, leading a group is one of the ways that helps me feel more powerful, which begets resilience. Is that true for you?
yeah, it's actually, I don't know if it's that I necessarily feel more powerful, but I do the groups as much for them as for me, if not more so for me. So maybe it is about feeling powerful, but it's not power from a place of, like the kind of power that's trying to take over the world right now, which is
Enough of
but
that
which is why.
already.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that job's already been taken. I have no interest in applying for that job. My interest is in being the change that brings us through this uh, storm before the calm is how I like to think of it. It's like I have to think of it that way because otherwise, you know, it would be challenging to just get up in the morning and get out of bed.
I love that. I think storm before the calm is a really great metaphor to be practicing for no matter what you're dealing with, because we have to have hope that there will be calm on the other end of the tunnel and that that light is not a train coming for us.
Yeah, this is just a bunch of seventh graders that are trying to get possession of the hill. They're playing King in the Hill or whatever that game was called.
It may have been called that.
Yeah, I think it was called King of the Hill. And I really believe that it's a bunch of very, very wounded individuals who think that this is the right thing for them to do, and it's really not. And and the number of people that know that it's not is way larger than the number of people that think that it is,
Yeah.
and have been um, kind of robbed of their resilience. They're operating they're operating from hate and anger and um, just all the things. I don't want to go into all the details about it. Everybody knows what
Well,
they're dealing with.
I think one of the things that we don't think about when we're thinking about resilience is we think about strength and powering through, but we don't think about thriving, blooming, and facilitating joy, which to me are so important to being resilient.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly true. I think the joy piece is the part that's it's like especially like when other things start happening and it becomes overwhelming, like the fires in California. It's like there's that part about how is it okay for me to feel joy when so many people are struggling from the fires in California, and um, and how do I access my own resilience and my feelings of joy and excitement and just the capacity to feel good about in spite of the fact that there's so many reasons to feel really bad.
But
And
I think one of the great lessons that I have found with the fires is every time somebody posts about somebody riding a horse through the canyon
yeah,
14 miles to save it, or
yeah,
going into a sewer to rescue a cat, I feel it in my soul. And
yeah.
it makes me so happy. And I know that nobody wants to remove that happiness from anyone, but I do think that we as a puritanical based society have this kind of feeling that everything is black or white. It's yes or no. So you either have to be in drama and tragedy or you can be in lightheartedness and joy. When the fact of the matter is, I think we have all the emotion. That's why there's those animated movies for kids. We have
Mhm.
all the emotions
Yeah,
and we're allowed to
exactly.
have them all at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's the I think that's one of the things that I've been struggling with is the like I get I do ingest a lot of information about what's going on in the world. I do that works for me. I'm not the kind of person that just wants to stick my head in the sand and ignore it and maybe it'll go away. Um, there's days when I do that. I give myself a break so that I can not go crazy. But it does help me to be informed about what's going on, and then I can make decisions about where my entry point is. Like how is it that I'm going to contribute to things being different? Because for me to just stay angry about everything doesn't work because I want to use that anger as fuel for putting out the fires, so to speak, using a California metaphor. But it's that's what that really works for me, is to
Me
turn that
too.
anger into action.
And
You too?
I
Yeah.
have to say that one of the reasons we decided to start doing Gastro Podcast is that we had a meeting with the Queens, and a lot of us were feeling like we needed to put anger into action for our community. And so this is one of the ways that we're trying to do that. Um, I like that you talked about that recharge mode where you back away from the news for a little bit so that you can come back to it with energy. I was restarting my computer today, and for the first time I noticed that the word restart is rest and art.
Oh,
Isn't that perfect? Because we need rest, and you do art, and I do art, and it's the perfect way to restart. And I don't know why I've never seen that before, but
wow.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
we need to make
She's
bumper
writing it
stickers.
down because she doesn't believe that.
I want to turn it into a sticker on a vehicle on my vehicles. It's like yeah, that is really good. I've never seen that one. I've seen earth and art before. Those
Right?
are popular, but I don't think I've ever seen rest
And
art.
I've been in the business of teaching people to recharge their lives and for like 30 years, and I've never thought of that until I was watching the little thing go around today.
Oh, that's so great.
Already.
Yeah,
Could
that was
you
happening.
talk?
But that was one of those, what do they call them? Those bomb gods or no, what's that term for when there's that big realization that as a, oh gosh.
I don't know that. All I thought it was epiphany or light bulb moment. I
Yeah, it just yeah,
You have
that's just
something more.
really, yeah, that's a theme for today. Rest art.
Well, can we talk about, can I ask you, you're such a great artist. Do you find that getting into the artistic process, it helps you back away from the problems and build up some reservoirs of energy and hope?
If I was able to do that these days, it would be a giant yes. And I think that's been part of the challenge for me is that there's been so many things going on in my life. I had a forced retirement back in 2019, and just a lot of personal things all happened simultaneously, and it has been happening. That has been like this continuous thread that's been going on for the last 5 years. And which, like one of the things that was really, really part of my resilience is that in October was my 5 year anniversary of the initial diagnosis. And that's when we found out from the doctor that my prognosis included a 5 year expiration date. And during that meeting with the doc, I said, "That's not going to happen," and it hasn't. And I don't imagine it happening anytime soon because, um, you know, I do have a really strong commitment to resilience, and I will not accept that being the solution to my.
Hang in with the rest of it till it's all over for all of us,
Yeah, I
right?
plan to be one of those early people who find the cure, who live the cure. Um, but
Well,
the but
have
I haven't been doing art. I've been doing other things in an artistic way as possible. And I've been doing some writing and stuff, which is
which is art.
art, but it's not visual art. And so I kind of put the visual art on hold. I do occasional little things here and there, which are more graphic design oriented type of art. But um, I've have that part on hold a little bit because I have so many other things that are responsibilities. Like I guess one of the warnings I want to give people is be really clear about what it takes to be somebody's power of attorney, what it really takes to be somebody's the person that's going to manage their estate after they die, and to be really clear about how many of those you say yes to, because I've taken, there's been a lot of that kind of stuff happening,
And just
and
to be clear, you're talking about somebody else in your life who passed away, and you're not talking about your own power of attorney issues right there.
no, I'm
Because
talking about
you've been dealing with multiple fires, as you mentioned.
yeah,
And that's
yeah.
one.
So those, and there is an art to that. I really do my best to find my way into into finding the satisfaction that I get from, actually just going out to my wonderful painting studio that we created right before I got diagnosed and right before my dad died. And then, it's like, and right before COVID and all of that stuff hit at the same time. And, um, and that's just knowing that it's there and just going out to it once in a while and just being in the space and doing some little thing. Yes, that's extremely, extremely helpful. Just doing any little thing, even like I heard about this thing where there's thinking about cupboards and drawers as real estate, and it was a concept I'd never heard of, and it was really satisfying to go into the kitchen and to go into different drawers and cupboards and stuff, and to notice that which what I was applying to the really good real estate, and the like certain things that are really easy access are where you want to put your most used things, and to be clear about how you organize things. And so surprisingly, that's been like my way of baking bread, is to just
Totally understand that because when I wash my clothes, I hang them on a drying rack and then I fold them one at a time intentionally and walk back and forth to my bureau and put them in there one at a time, which A, puts more steps on my fitness counter. But
uh-huh.
it's very relaxing and it makes me feel like I am taking a moment to honor the fact that I have clothes, that I have a bureau to put them in.
Yep.
I am always grateful for tiny little things. I don't know where this comes from, but one of the things that I do artistically, and you know this because you follow me on Facebook, is I take pictures of flowers and nature. And I force myself to go out when it's 37 degrees and foggy with my dogs with the intention of finding something I would be proud to show people that is out there bringing joy to the world, whether anybody is seeing it or not. Um, so I do think that that focus on the tiny little things that soothe your heart and bring you joy, whether you're actually participating in them or not, like you walking into your studio, or just knowing that in my bedroom there is a bureau that has clothes in it.
Yep. Yeah.
It's a lot of people, I think, are so focused on, I need to get a promotion, or this all has to be solved in order for me to be happy. Well, things never get solved. A lot of
Right.
things never get solved, but we can still build our resilience by being grateful for what is good. Just watching a dog sleep just makes me laugh like crazy because they're so.
Especially when they start going for runs or start
Oh
doing
yeah,
all thing that
Murray
they
runs all the time. I think he chases a lot of squirrels in his dreams.
yeah, he
Um,
does the things that you don't let him do when you're taking the walks that you take.
right.
And
Yeah,
it's like, you're the photographs that you take are really inspirational, and they're just so they're such a they're such a balm for me on days when I really appreciate how that there's a soothing quality to the photos that you take, and you've gotten so much better over the years that you've been doing this, and it's really inspiring to see how practice gets you, the practice. It's like a spiritual practice. I get that it's a spiritual practice for you,
it
but it's
is.
it's really it's really beautiful to see how much you've really gone into that so fully. And and the photos, I mean, you're taking spring photos in the middle of winter. I don't even know how that's possible, and yet you're able to do it. And
You know,
you
I
know
I have told people that brightly colored things call my name. And
uh-huh,
I swear, if I'm a block away, I go, I see something up there because
uh-huh,
that's also how I shop at St. Benny's. If it's bright,
uh-huh.
I'm going to be attracted to it. That's look at my hair color.
Right, yeah,
It's the same
exactly.
thing. I'm attracted. And so I do, even sometimes what you see in my photographs is, you're seeing it full screen and it's the size of the tip of my pinky finger. I've just
Right.
seen
It was
it.
speaking
I
to
think
you.
one of my advantages is I'm very nearsighted. So I tend to look at things like this anyway. For those of you who are just listening and not seeing, I took my glasses off and I stared at something. And so that's the shot you get, is what it looks like when I take off my glasses and stick my nose in a flower.
Yeah, and I think that the micro macro part of it comes through really clearly, and there's it's surprising to me how soothing your photos are on much more than just I appreciate the artistry of it. It's more um it's like being able to go on the walk with you, and even if I'm not able to do that, on a daily basis like you are, in the way that you're able to do it, it's I get to be a part of it, which is really one of the things that I think that I would encourage the listeners to do is to find those things that are inspirational. It's like whoever's needing some connection. It doesn't have to happen through being in touch with people or doing things on a daily basis, but there's so many resources out there, and your photos are one of them for me. It's
I
and
appreciate that. I have a lot of friends who are seniors, more senior than I am, which is very senior. And they are housebound. And when I started doing this, they were encouraging me because they wanted to be able to feel. But let me recommend to people that Blue Sky actually has a hashtag that's photographs and flowers and gardening, and you can spend your entire day looking at the
Mhm.
most beautiful macro photography on Blue Sky. So if you're looking for a reason to add that or to leave a social media platform and move to another, it's just I spend a lot of time in the evening trying to decompress and feel like I'm going to be re-energized for the next day looking at people's beautiful arts. But also here in the city of Eugene, go to First Friday and
Right.
just let the beauty of other people's art seep into your heart.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and like the balance between both of those kinds of things, like the things that inspire and fill me from a place of feeling nurtured by it, really helps me balance out the way in which, like, all these other sites that I go to, I have to use my cheat sheet. It's like it's like I love listening to Heather Cox Richardson, and Jen Rubin now just left WAPO and is starting Contrarian, and Borowitz is going to be in there, which is great because he was one of the early people that left. And it's those kinds of things, listening to those YouTubes or podcasts, or reading the information is also really nourishing for me. And it's also um I find that for me, I have to find a balance with it, where I'm letting in the inspirational quotes, and I'm letting in the integrity of my vision of the world, which is very different than the kind of world that we're being sort of bullied. We're getting
Dragged into against
yeah,
our
we're
will.
getting bullied into a situation that's not at all in line with my personal integrity. And
Well, I
so,
think you said a really important word, and that's balance. I really think resilience revolves around we can't be ostriches. And by the way, ostriches don't really put their heads in the sand, but we'll use that as the metaphor. We can't hide our heads in the sand all the time, but
right,
we can choose to back off and then when to lean in. And if you don't back off and do that restart, then you don't have the energy to lean in and do the action, and then you're stuck. I think you're
right,
stuck in grief or sadness or anger. I mean, we all have our number one negative emotion that we fall into most readily. Mine is
yep,
anger, because even though this isn't my real hair color, this red, it is the color I was born with. And so anger is my top one. But a lot of people get stuck in sadness and feeling like their life is meaningless. And if we get that sense of balance where we look at people who inspire us and fill us up, and I love to read for that reason, because it allows your imagination to create the pictures that are the writer is providing for you. But balance, I think, is just vital, and so many people are not living lives of balance.
right. Yeah, exactly. And I think that along with the two that you mentioned, I think fear and worry are two that also immobilize people a lot. And and I feel all of those things. It's like I think that one of the things that I've learned over the years is that, and this is really sort of a deeply embodied personal mantra that it has now become just part of my internal system through practice over the years, is any feeling fully felt changes. And so being able to, to feel the fear and do it anyway, to, use a title from an old book, which is a great book, by the way. And to go into the worry, to go into the anxiety and fear about what's happening. And, there's good reasons for all those feelings. And those feelings are then they're messages about, what is it that's going on in me that I can connect those feelings to and take action, take right action, or not right action, left action, take correct action.
Next action.
Take action to push back, and as a way to ignore the noise and um to acknowledge all that stuff that's going on out there, and then to use it as fuel for doing whatever you can. And for me, there are days when I'm dealing with the treatments that I'm on, and I don't have much, but I have enough to post stuff that pisses me off, and to put messages out there on Facebook, because it's really, it's still, anyway, that's a whole other conversation. At some point, who knows what will happen with whether or not any of us will stay on that. And many, many people are leaving, but there's things that Blue Sky doesn't do. And so currently, there's no simple, easy way to transfer all the huge number of people on my Facebook
But I
friends.
agree
And
with your going into the emotion, because I believe that anything you suppress will come back and bite you in the butt.
exactly.
Whether it's truth, whether it's
Yep.
anger, whether it's grief, it will come back. I
Yeah.
want to go ahead and start wrapping up and just remind people who are watching or listening that there are so many opportunities in this community for you to feel connected to others and for you to feel inspired by others, and do something as simple as reading the Eugene Weekly's calendar of what's happening, or going to Travel Lanes County's calendar of what's happening, and just find the things that just reading it sparks joy. Sometimes you don't even have to go. You may plan to go and then you can't, because our
Right.
lives happen like that. But there are studies that say the anticipation of positive generates the same positive effects in your body as actually doing it. So if you can just plan to do it and want to do it and be aware of it, because I post a lot of things going on in the community that I know I'm not going to be able to go to. But just knowing they're out there makes me feel so good. Oh, my coworkers are having a conversation now. I don't know if you can hear that in the background. They say we can only be quiet for 27 minutes, and that's the extent of it. But I appreciate so much your authenticity and your feelings about this issue of resilience, and sharing so much about what's going on in your own life. I want to thank everyone for listening to Gastro Podcast. We hope that you learned a little, laughed a bit, and felt inspired to build community. And remember, take things slowly and leave a glittery trail wherever you go. That's the final message from the Slug Queens, and we will be back with a second Gastro Podcast.